Thursday. This is a question and answer live session with myself, Dr. Melissa. I'm so excited to join you guys today. It's been a little while since my last live event, and I really wanted to answer a lot of questions that I know that I'm probably not keeping as on top of all of the questions you guys have on a lot of the video content. So welcome everybody if you are joining our live chat. I'm so excited to have you here today. Hello. So first questions, I want to know who you guys are. Can you hear me? And tell me where you're located. I love connecting with all of you. And I'm basically answering an assortment of different questions. So it's going to be kind of like a peppering of questions from you all. I do have a channel membership program, and I asked those individuals as part of the benefits to being a channel member for $4.99. I asked them a question about what I could answer, or I guess I asked them a question to ask me questions. So I'm going to be specifically addressing their questions, and then I'm going to open it up to all you guys. So hi, Susan. Hi, Rochelle. I love California. Oh, Port St. Lucie. Hi, Vicki. I actually grew up in St. Pete, so I'm missing the warm weather here. It is cold and rainy in Atlanta, Georgia. Dothan. All right, so I want to do some quick housekeeping as just to kind of kick off our live session. So I am putting the final edits on the 2 Healthy Holiday Gift Guide series that I have coming out. And I think, I'm looking at my calendar right now, I think we'll be launching that live probably Sunday. So I might do a movie premiere or whatever that new function is on YouTube. I still haven't figured that out. Vero Beach, Tri-Cities. Welcome everybody. I'm so excited to have you join me live. It's so great to actually have, see some faces pop up and know I'm talking to some folks versus a video camera that I set up solo in my office. So just a quick little note to everybody joining, welcome. I'm answering your live questions and I'm answering them here live on this video chat because I know that it's gotten a little crazy busy here in both my clinic and then with all my virtual consultations and then all the editing and videoing that I'm doing because I'm pretty much a one-woman show. And I just hosted a big event or sponsored a big event on Sunday and was speaking at that. So there's going to be content that comes out there. But just quick housekeeping, the Healthy Holiday Gift Guide should be coming out starting on Sunday of this week so that you guys get some really great discounts, coupons, and ideas for your friends and family members. Hi, Brian from Littleton. So I'm really excited about that. This is the gift guide is a labor of love, and I actually have some awesome stuff on the guide this year, and it's going to be great. New Zealand. We've got some Kiwis in the house. So that's really big right now. And then I decided, I think in October or September maybe, that I was going to do Vlogmas. Are you guys familiar with Vlogmas? So I wasn't until I think I did that whole July hashtag 40 over the rainbow and realized that I could produce 25 videos for each day leading up to Christmas Day. And hi Maryland. I wish I were closer. It's a little too cold up in Michigan for me. So I'll be participating in Healthy Vlogmas, and we're working on content now that will be wonderful. So each of those videos are a labor of love, and those are my gifts to everybody. So I'm going to be giving you guys Christmas gifts in a way of health and wellness resources and information and tactics and tips to help you survive the winter season. Because raise your hand or hit the heart button if the holidays stress you out a little bit. And we're coming up on that first stressful family holiday of Thanksgiving coming up next week. And I haven't even menu planned. So I'm a little bit behind, but you guys and caring for my family has been a little bit of our priority here. Bronx. All right. So I first want to dig into some questions that came through my channel membership community tab. So I put out a notice that I was going to be going live today and said, hey, what questions do you have? What burning questions can I answer that can directly impact your health and wellness? And so I'm going to put that out to you guys today, those of you watching and joining me live, and then folks on the replay, I'll be following along. And I'm actually going to be writing things down. So Ruth, you got troubles with the thyroid. So I first am going to address the questions that come through that came through my membership community, because that's one of the membership benefits. If you guys are interested in that, I'll include some links down below. But that's really exciting. I've been posting a lot of additional information, resources, and tips, and photos, and coupon codes, and things like that to that community. And it just got opened up to my channel, I think, about a month ago. So that's pretty exciting. And that's what's kind of prompted this live session. So I first want to answer my first channel member, Lois Lyons, asked me a question. She wanted to know if I knew of any substantial CBD and liver damage studies. So she said that she had read something about the CBD possibly causing liver damage. And I am really staying on top of all the clinical research. I have not seen anything specifically that has identified consuming CBD in any type of quantity to impact the liver and damage the liver. So that is something that I have not seen. I haven't run across. The benefits are significant. So if you are unfamiliar with any of the video content or series that I'm doing, and I'm going to be producing at least 1 or 2 CBD related videos every month. I'm working on this month's as well. I think that'll be out tomorrow, actually, a new product that I'm excited to introduce you guys to. But CBD it benefits so much. And I was actually at this conference on Sunday, and I had a woman run up to me and said, "Oh my gosh, is it crazy that CBD totally made me feel better and it wiped out my menopausal symptoms, and I'm not feeling aches and pains in my neck and in my shoulders?" And yes, it is impactful. No, that's not crazy. But that was really exciting to kind of get some feedback from somebody. And she's like, "I would never do it, but I tried it and it works." And so she's working on all of her family members to consume CBD by the benefits. But as far as that question, Lois, I hope that answered your question. You may be live or you're watching this on the replay. So that, I hope, answered your question. And then Christine Frecker, hopefully Christine, I haven't butchered your name, but you posted 2 specific questions. So Christine's first question, I'm going to read it because I wrote these down. It is, what is your take? So my take on whether there can be a balance between Western and naturopathic medicine, and is that possible to be achieved? So, Western medicine being what I consider conventional, traditional, MD, and even DO type of work on the body and work with folks, versus naturopathic medicine, which is what I've studied. I have a doctorate in naturopathic medicine. I focus on healing and balancing the body by addressing the root cause of illness and disease. And I think the challenge that the 2 worlds have are 2 totally different perspectives. So Western medicine focuses on management of symptoms. And traditionally, that management of symptoms is either with pharmaceutical drugs or surgical procedures. And then naturopathic, on the other side, I feel like it's like the angel and the devil. So, and it comes off many times that way. So naturopathic medicine that I focus on, for instance, we focus on addressing the root cause of illness and disease by looking at the whole body, a whole entity, and addressing the symptoms and the root cause. So the symptoms are often just what we consider language of the body. The symptoms tell us more about the different systems that might be in balance, and then we seek to resolve those imbalances. There are ways to combine the 2. For instance, I work with a ton of cancer patients who are actively undergoing cancer treatments and cancer therapies and protocols, and an integrative approach is often utilized. So that is something that can be very impactful in terms of blending the 2, but it is something that can be a challenge. And a lot of times you as a patient have to kind of make certain decisions to include the medical community often in your naturopathic healing protocol. So I just saw a quick message from Purple Angel Wings. Hi, mwah. You're so sweet. You always leave such the sweetest comment. So I just appreciate your commentary just there. That was very happy day creating. So thank you. So the other question that Christine asked was, how does one start down the journey of finding out the causes and addressing whatever issues come about in the body? And so this is great. So this is an excellent question, especially as we're kind of rounding the corner to starting the new year. A lot of times we kind of refocus after the holidays and say we're going to really focus on self-care and make some resolutions and decisions to put our health and wellness first. And even if that's not the case, and individuals dealing with a diagnosis or a change in life or whatever it is, and there's a situation where they actually need to focus on making some healthy changes, a good start to addressing those challenges, the root cause, traditionally is by really focusing on a lot of the systems that might be imbalanced. So for instance, if it's some hormones, we might want to not only test the hormones, like your female reproductive hormones or male reproductive hormones, we would also test cortisol, DHEA. We might do a full thyroid panel, not just looking at the hormone that's produced by the thyroid gland and the pituitary, but also what's being produced in the liver. Or it might be we're looking at some gut imbalances. So depending on the systems is probably dependent and a component that we would look at and hone in on. But just globally addressing the root cause is drilling down into what are those symptoms or system imbalances telling us and what's the root cause. I will tell you, adrenal stress is a huge one. And so give me a heart or like, give me a little emoji. And all of my channel members, we actually have emojis that you can access on our chat. So I love seeing those come through. But I think one of the things that's really important when we're looking at balancing the body is it's often there are multiple systems involved that need balancing. And and this is the other thing too, I've had multiple conversations this week. I feel like I'm a broken record sometimes. And my communication this week has been, the body does not operate on human time. And this is really challenging because in our head, when we make a decision to get healthy and we start to implement all of the right lifestyle changes, dietary changes, nutritional intake, we want things to work immediately. Like human time's like, I already thought it and it was supposed to already happen like before I had that thought, right? Like I am personally one of the most impatient people, and Brian is very patient and understanding. So body time doesn't operate on human time. And I think that's one of the biggest things that I could recommend is to be very patient. Be gentle and patient and loving towards your body, because a lot of the imbalances and the root causes of illness and disease, one, they didn't get there overnight, and it's a compounding effect. It's like compounding interest. It just kind of grows and grows. And so when one system's a little bit imbalanced, it then has a ripple effect, and then there's another ripple effect. And that's why you hear a lot of us in the natural world say, your health is like an onion. We're going to peel back the different layers. So with regard to those layers, we just don't patch it up. Like there's no magic like duct tape or super glue that just brings everything back to balance immediately. There are things like balancing your adrenals that can have quite significant changes in terms of like you wake up and you have energy after not having energy for a really long time and starting supplementation. Sometimes for people, depending on how imbalanced they were, it can be a matter of days. I mean, when I got into this, sure, Lisa, ask away when you have a question. When I got into healing and really kind of had my own healing crisis in my early 20s, the one thing that I remember somebody saying is you just have to be really patient with your body. And I addressed my adrenals. That was one of the big things. And literally like Rhodiola, I don't think I brought a whole bunch of stuff on my desk to share with you. Rhodiola was literally life-changing. And it was a matter of like 3 to 5 days where I noticed the effect. Now, that does happen, that does occur, and there are a lot of protocols and supplementation that can have a positive effect on the body. But globally, it's slow. And in fact, like vitamin D supplementation, if you guys follow my Instagram page and chats over there, I do a lot of stories, and I had communicated that like the time change is really big to be up on your vitamin D levels because it changes. And no, Marilyn, I can't see your question, but ask again, and I'm writing notes as I see questions coming through. One of the things that I told that community, not only did I have them DM me because I have a free vitamin D dosing guide, but I was telling them, like, be patient with your vitamin D levels, because it doesn't matter what degree of deficiency you have. If you're really low level, the vitamin D levels will be something that takes forever. I mean, it can take 6 to 9 months for you to get levels where you're seeing some changes, because every cell in your body has receptivity to vitamin D. And because of that, like I literally tell people, when you take a vitamin D dose, it's like feeding piranhas. Like every cell's like, whoa, vitamin D, oh my gosh, I got to get vitamin D. And then whatever dose you got in, it didn't feed everything. And so it takes a long time for that body and the nutrient to get satisfied daily, and then to start itching up on optimization. So patience is really key when you kind of get started on a journey of trying to figure out what symptoms, depending on how you rebalance your body and what type of systems we're trying to recalibrate. It is not uncommon to go through certain healing crises. This is very important, or we see this more commonly with like Lyme disease, where individuals will hurt, or they'll have, and even with like candida or yeast overgrowth, the bacteria, it can, depending on how well we do it and depending on the degree of that cultural environment and the change to it, some of these things that we're trying to eradicate, like parasites and bacterial levels, and achieving bacterial level balances, sometimes there's a reaction. And so that can be discouraging. So I would just say, in terms of kind of starting, 1, have realistic expectations. 2, don't give up. 3, trust in your body. It heals. It's self-healing. We are meant to heal. And then, all right, Marilyn, I'm writing down this question. Okay. All right, so then the other note on that she had was, do you track symptoms? I think that's helpful. I think journaling, just being conscious of your body and how you're reacting and different changes. I ask all the time when I'm working with folks in person or virtually about, let's see, I'm just writing questions down. Periods. I saw you had a question about vitamin D absorption. It's a very slow absorbing nutrient. Sometimes we can help it by adding flax seed oil. That sometimes accelerates that process. But so symptom tracking, I think, is important. I ask people all the time, how are you feeling? And even in a recheck, oh, hi, India. The recheck or symptom kind of analysis just tells us how well we're doing with regard to how the body is balancing. Oh, Elmer, love Houston. So that would be something tracking, I think, is important. And then the other question that she had was, do I self-order labs? And this is actually how I think how I help people most, honestly. I work with folks where we fill in the gap in terms of what testing's been provided. So a lot of times you go to your doctor, you tell them the symptoms, blah, 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 and you even say, I want to test X, Y, and Z, and then they don't. They give you a lab order, you give blood, an exorbitant amount of blood. And if you're like me, I'm totally scared of needles. I hate going, and I usually find excuses not to go. But I actually have like this test kit. I do all different types of testing. And I fill in the gap. So a lot of times we might not get a full thyroid panel. For some reason, OBGYNs don't always test your estrogen and your progesterone to give us that ratio. Like, there are these stupid things that happen when physicians aren't running all of the labs. And so Self-ordering labs is becoming a trend, primarily because there's a need for it. There's a need to fill in the gap. There's a need to look further and deeper into your body and substantiate and identify where your levels of, say, neurotransmitters, or your levels of vitamin D, or your levels of C-reactive protein, or your levels for PSA, or any of the other assortment of nutrients, minerals, coenzymes. It's numerous. Hi, Minnesota. So the self-ordering labs is becoming more of a trend. I work with just a few labs. Like ZRT's been one of my main labs. I've been working with them for over a decade. But there are more and more labs coming out there because there's such a need. So that, I hope, answers your questions. Specifically, Christine and Pamela, life stressors have a huge impact and should be journaled along with self-labs. You are absolutely right. Okay, so I apologize. I wrote down a whole bunch of the questions that were coming through, and keep them coming. I will continue to write them down. I have a huge notepad in front of me. So I am going to just kind of go, so send them to me. All right, so Jay Sanchez, do you recommend prescription antifungals versus natural ones? And breasting. Okay, so let's start with this. Natural antifungals versus prescription. It kind of depends on the type of case, the type of bacteria. I do like to kind of dig into bacteria testing. It depends on the area of the body, and there are a lot of natural antifungals that we can implement. The antimicrobial, antifungal, antiviral sort that are impactful. And then depending on where the location is, usually I'm going to be looking at some degree of probiotics. So there's oral probiotics, there's vaginal probiotics, there's a whole assortment of probiotics. Okay, so I have seen a few people shoot messages, Pamela, about explanting. So I want to dig into that because that is definitely a big specialty of mine. Some of you may or may not know, I not only am a naturopath and a nutritionist, but I am a certified lymphatic specialist. And so I work with an assortment of lymphatic disorders, diseases, and I help heal the lymphatic system. If somebody has swollen lymph nodes, they've got vascular insufficiency, and now they've got swelling on their legs, as well as post-operative cases. So explants are, they are more common right now. My question to you ladies, if you haven't, please go check out Nicole's breast implant illness disease page on Facebook. She's phenomenal. I've seen her literally start from like 5 followers to now there's a ton, thousands of women. So there's a surgeon that I worked really closely with at home. There are some surgeons here in Atlanta that I work with, and I treat their patients. And Jay Sanchez, the hashtag breast explant, best thing I ever did. I feel amazing. So breast implants are highly toxic to individuals. Pamela, oozing and bright red, totally common. I have seen more cases, and there's clinical data out there of breast implants turning into or causing particular types of breast cancer. I actually lost an amazing patient, a friend, a fellow colleague in the lymphatic world at home the beginning of last year, 2 years ago, so the beginning of 2017, and it was devastating. And it came on really quickly, and she didn't explant as soon as she could, and she missed the window. So explantation or explanting is literally, for those of you who aren't aware, it's a removal of breast implants. And it totally affects the lymphatic system. It affects everything. And it affects, a lot of women get diagnosed with autoimmunity, lupus, RA, fibromyalgia. It causes gut imbalances. It definitely, Pamela, I would recommend testing. I might actually have this, hold on. I would recommend doing this, a neurotransmitter test, because this is huge. The neurotransmitters in our brain, the stress hormones get totally whacked out. And I always run that with a lot of my explanters. So, and I've done a video. I think I only did one video, and I was featured on their Facebook page. Explant is absolutely essential. So if you haven't signed up or haven't found a provider, go check out the Facebook page. They have a file. Once you get in, they have a file tab on the Facebook page that you can actually go and search for surgeons in your area. So I always get asked by folks on YouTube, like, who do you recommend? And it does cause folks to be literally taken down and bedridden and debilitated. I will tell you this, I've seen people who were diagnosed with Lyme disease and didn't have it. It was the implant. And it's definitely something that it is devastating. So, you know, the explantation or explant removal, the key factor that you want to be aware of is you want to be asking questions of that surgeon. There are a few key questions. First one is, do they remove the entire encapsulation? Oh, thanks, Monica. The encapsulation, do they remove that from the body? So not only do we have an implant, but there's this capsule, and the capsule is like an assortment of scarring, and it's what for some women causes the breast implant to settle in. For some women, it never settles, and so you'll have like one breast implant a little higher, and we don't get that settling. And then sometimes that encapsulation or capsular encapsulation, I think I said that right. It causes it causes literally the body to try and expel the implant. I have seen all different types of cases, exploding or implants that have exploded. They've had leakage. It's impacted the lymph nodes. We've had to have lymph nodes removed. So the questions, I don't even remember what the questions were. I kind of got off track. But so explanting, the questions you want to ask: does the surgeon remove the full capsule? If they say no or partial, you want to find somebody else who does. You want to guarantee that they remove all of that tissue, because the body will still try and attack itself. And basically, breast implant illness it's a legit diagnosis. It's a legit condition. And basically, it's the same thing as, and creates the same kind of effect that the body has whenever there's an implant, say metal implant or any other type of foreign substance that is put in the body. It will attack it. And the challenge with the attacking of breast tissue is highly hormone dense. It is very iodine, rich in iodine receptivity. There's a lot of stuff going on. We're holding a lot of excess toxins. And it is, I'm loving all the sharing. So you guys look at the comments down below, because I'm seeing great information that is affirming a lot of this information for you. So what I would say also, here's the other thing. So on the post-operative side, post-surgical side, you want to make sure that they are going to put in drains. So you want to move the lymphatics. That's going to be really helpful in your healing process. There are a lot of different kind of ways the doctors do their work, depending on how much they've removed. It's not uncommon for there to be some bone scraping as well. These are all just things, it sounds really, oh my gosh, but I would rather be completely transparent with you so you know all the aspects going in. For any of you out there who are considering explanting or have any friends or family that might benefit from this dialogue. But drains post-surgically, it's key. I have found that some surgeons will leave like a little opening, but some folks that closes up really quickly, and then they've got lymphatic issues because of it. So I'm doing a lot of I literally will see people like 2 or 3 days after surgery, breast removal, mastectomy surgeries for sure, and then explant surgeries. So, the big thing is lymphatic, motivating the lymphatic system. The challenge there is if you still have an explant, you don't want to motivate too much, because we don't want to enhance that immune system to be attacking the breast tissue. So I'm always cautious of like putting people on full-on detox protocols before they've removed it. I would prefer to support your nutrient density and support your body to sustain that surgery. And I actually have a pre and post surgical protocol. So if you do decide, any of you out there decide to have any type of elective surgery or have to have medical surgery, this pre and post operative surgical plan, I break down like daily the types. I really get very specific, like 2 weeks before surgery, kind of leading up to a week before, a few days before, the day of, the day after, 2 days after, and how to use food, body care, supplementation, homeopathy, and herbs to heal the body. So when this is all wrapped, I'll include a link to that. Okay, so I want to answer a whole bunch of other questions. So I saw something about Ruth, your feet hurt, and I'm assuming there might be some lymphatic involvement. I'm not sure if you checked this out, but I have a video here on YouTube I did about ginger foot baths. Not only does it help, thanks Jay Sanchez. Not only does the ginger foot bath help neuropathy, but it actually helps minimize inflammation throughout the body. So it's a systemic anti-inflammatory, and it also motivates the lymphatic system. So the ginger foot bath is literally like I grate ginger, I boil up the ginger, let it seep, put it in a foot tub, like, Rubbermaid kind of tub, and then add cooler water, Epsom salts, and soak your feet in it. And so the feet are a great delivery method for items that sometimes we don't like to consume. And so a lot of people actually don't like ginger. Shally M, you mentioned in one of your lymphedema videos that stretching the breast area can do something for scar tissue. Can you repost that? For some reason it bounced. So as far as hurting feet, I think that can be helpful. All right, Wolfness, what do we do when we do the dry skin? What positions should we be in? Oh, that's a great question. You can be in any position. So I have folks that are immobilized. I also have folks who are paralyzed, and so they have caregivers doing it. So it doesn't really matter the position. Like for me, when I'm doing my motivating, I'm usually standing because I do it before I get in a shower or before I take a bath. And but it's not something that is less beneficial if you're standing or not. I will tell you this, I work with a lot of lymphedema patients who are leg pumping. And so I actually have them do the lymphatic motivating. So they'll do dry skin brushing while they're reclined and laying down and their legs are getting pumped. So that really can help enhance that. So standing or seated, whatever's more convenient for you. So I hope that answered that question. Let's see. I saw a question about how do you detox the lungs? So this is an excellent question. This can be impactful for folks that might be kind of detoxing from smoking, chemical exposure. Bleach is a really bad one for the bronchial and lung passages. And glad I answered that. So I think there are several kind of things to do for detoxing the lungs. The first thing is to incorporate halotherapy or inhaling salt, like it's granulated salt. That is going to be impactful. So if you have a salt spa or halotherapy center, I would get over there pronto and buy a package of those things and just sit and inhale this salt that's put into the air. Sorry, I'm going to grab a little water. So that's what I would do, just kind of in an environmental perspective. The other thing that I would do, myrrh is really great in helping detox the lungs. So that is a herb that I have found quite impactful when I'm working with some of my patients, and this can be infants to my elders. Especially having a practice in St. Pete, Florida, there were a lot of retirees that I was working with who were coming down with walking pneumonia or full-fledged bacterial and or viral pneumonia, and myrrh was a big herb that I was using. All right, Rochelle Bonds, I have had foot swelling for over 40 years, had surgery, lymph nodes were damaged. Yes, the ginger foot bath totally would help you. And I don't have it on my desk right here. I have so many products, you guys. I'm going to have to do like a video. Message me down below. If you guys want like a video office tour, like I'm shooting in the home studio right now. But like I have basically my clinic and then some at home. So for moving the lymphatics, I would recommend, if you haven't purchased it, Lymph Stim. And then also, and that's a homeopathic, I sell that in my store, and they ship out, it's like a 2-day shipping. I'll include some links when this is all said and done. Sometimes these videos take like 40 minutes to kind of process. So be patient with me, but I'll have links up there. And I would also look at the topical Yeah, I don't see it. Topical tea relief gel, that can be very helpful for motivating the lymphatics, especially if there are damage to the lymph nodes or improperly moving lymph. I saw some questions about how the best way or how to regulate periods. So I actually am going to be doing a video specific about this. Okay, good, Shelly. Let's see. How do you stretch the breast tissue to help remove scarring? Okay, breast. Okay, I'll get to that, Shelly. Okay, so regulating the female hormones and menstrual cycle process, there is, and this is a kind of ancient process, the best way is, one, to test your hormones. Two, so test your female reproductive hormones, test your adrenals, and test your thyroid. Those three glands are key for balancing and making sure that we have the all of those numbers assessed. So assessment is key. And hopefully I'm okay here. Sorry, you guys. Assessment is really key with hormone balancing. The other thing that is really crucial is to also be cognizant of food that you're consuming. You want to address food. So kind of going back to this whole topic that I'm going to be digging into. There's something called seed cycling, and it's using seeds. Lisa, I did see that. I'll get to that. Seed cycling is actually using seeds and the plant-based hormones from seeds to balance out the menstrual cycle. If that's a topic you guys are interested in, let me know. Just say, yes, seed cycling. It's SEED cycling. But balancing the reproductive hormones and balancing regulating periods is an intricate sort, and it's unique to each woman. And so broad-based kind of recommendations can be helpful to some degree, but we really have to get specific because there's so much at play. Some women are dealing with endometrial matter. Some women are dealing with ovarian output challenges, ovarian cysts. Some women are dealing with uterine fibroids, uterine polyps. Some women are dealing with scar tissue in and around the whole organ and glandular tissue. And then a lot of men and women are dealing with imbalances in their adrenal glands and cortisol. And I saw a question about low cortisol. So it becomes really a complicated matter, but it's totally possible to balance out and regulate a cycle. Just the intricacies don't give us, thanks, Jess. The intricacies don't allow us to get like, oh, this is just globally effective for all women. Which is why I try to be really pointed in a lot of my video content so that I can at least address certain kind of subsets of folks that might fit this particular type of protocol or whatever health concern we're addressing. So I'm not sure if I answered that question, but the first course of action is to really identify your hormone structure, identify those levels and numbers. Vitamin D is an important number to test. You definitely want to make sure your DHEA is being analyzed. And then also the other component that we are looking at is liver functionality, because the liver, particularly for us women, and how many of you can relate to this? Because that is one of my organs that is always something I have to address, my liver. If you feel angry, agitated, angst, this is all of those feelings, like if you're quick to anger and you just, that is liver. Those are emotional roots of liver and liver imbalance. And so detoxing the liver and balancing the liver plays a significant role in our female hormone balance. It plays a significant role for men, particularly men that are dealing with PSA and BPH imbalances. And that's a huge subset of men that I'm working with. And particularly some of the videos that I produce for men in my prostate health videos. I think 2 of those videos together have had over, I think we're now at 600,000 views. And so there are a lot of men that need support as well with their liver. Okay, so I want to address the bone broth question. So the question was whether you can use You can use grass-fed bones, and if that's good, and I'm assuming the question is what happens if you don't have grass-fed bones. So I generally say, because of the nature of our food industry and the growing of our animals, the livestock, that you definitely want to go for, if you can, locally grown beef or cattle or whatever animal source. Sometimes there are local butchers where you can trust the product that they get. And then obviously some of the stores are coming and give us greater access to grass-fed, naturally raised, hormone-free animal products. I honestly think, and what we're extracting in the, one of the things that we're extracting in the bone marrow are chemicals along with really good nutrients. And so that's why I always recommend grass-fed before. Sorry if I'm streaming out. I'm just going to move this a little bit. Sometimes the internet connectivity is a little sketchy. So I hope that answered that question. I did see a question about ionized water and if that helps the body alkalinize. The one thing with water, and I've done one video on this, but the challenge that we have with water and water types, different pH levels of water, the core aspect here is the functionality of our stomach. So the digestive process is built to create certain levels of pH, and that these levels kind of kick off the next stage of the digestive process. For instance, we consume food, we swallow, chew it up, swallow it, goes down the esophagus, it goes down into the stomach. And then the stomach is, and I'm seeing PCOS, I'll totally address that. So one of the things that is important to note with alkaline water is that the pH level of the stomach is such that it achieves a certain level of pH to move through the other process. I find that it doesn't really matter what you're consuming in alkaline water, or I think there's Nikken water. I think that's Japanese based. I lived in Japan for a year. It doesn't really matter. It's really more about the foods. So the foods that we're consuming, like alkaline related green foods and green juices, those have a much greater alkalinity effect on the body, and reducing like sugar and alcohol. A lot of that whole pH balance that we talk about systemically, it's rooted not in our stomach, it's rooted in our digestive process. And so our yeast and bacterial balances play a big role in the pH level of our stomach. Thanks, Veronica. So I hope that answers your question, because there's no like one magic thing that you can do that's just going to all of a sudden optimize your health. It's just an assortment of really good, healthy behaviors and practices. All right. So I saw a question about PCOS, and kind of managing PCOS. And so I'm actually a PCOS person. And just because we don't have cysts on our ovaries, and that we don't have fertility challenges, or we're growing hair on our face, or have weight challenges or whatever, there's a whole assortment of, Tracy, I'm going to have you probably ask me that question again. So one of the things that I'd say with PCOS management and blood sugar levels are going to be key. So PCOS is polycystic ovarian syndrome. For those of you who aren't familiar with this, is I'm just writing some questions down. I love all these questions, you guys. I love how actively participating, or active and participatory you guys are. I'm so grateful. Okay, so I saw something about antibiotics. Thanks, Marilyn. Okay, so with PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome, it's really a metabolic syndrome. So it's an imbalance in our hormone level. So it's related to hormone imbalance. And the key thing that really kicks off PCOS is blood sugar imbalances, insulin levels that are high, and that sets up this whole cascade. And so we PCOSers have to really delve into managing our blood sugar. And it's not as easy as saying, hey, thank you. That's a good idea, Monica. I love that. It's not as easy as saying, don't eat sugar, because that's just not the way this works. You know, there are a lot of different things going on. And so here are a few tips that I think I have personally found helpful and helpful in my community of patients with PCOS. Heavy dosing of multiminerals, particularly selenium and chromium. And, oh, thanks, Pamela. Chromium and selenium, I think those are really key and really crucial, because those help balance your blood sugar levels. But more importantly, they help open up the body's receptivity to insulin. So we're not storing our insulin, and we're not having free floating insulin. And it's one of the reasons why, like when I do glucose testing, I will be in the 70s because I'm not consuming a lot of sugar, but my A1C is something that I'm always looking to manage and keep as low as I can in the low 4s. But it's not uncommon to see women that have glucose, fasting glucose levels in the 90s and A1C 5.2 and above. So Anthony, yes. Okay. All right. So Anthony, I'll address that as well. I have a whole bunch of lymphedema questions I'm kind of gathering. So mineral intake is going to be crucial. And then, and this is something that I've talked a little bit. I had a kind of my fertility story. I had two different situations, in one in my 20s and my early 30s, where I was anovulatory and not at a point where I was able to get pregnant. And then balancing my body and kind of regulating, as I always do. We all kind of go through our ups and downs, and made some big changes in my business to make sure I could balance and take care of myself. And that's when we conceived Gabriel, kind of in a very easy, unplanned process. It's really key. And how I think what was so impactful, two things. I saw a question about coffee enemas. I'm a huge fan of coffee enemas for PCOSers and for folks who have insulin resistance, weight challenges, and anybody who needs to clear out and detox their liver and boost their antioxidant levels. Rochelle, will you message me? I'm gonna, I will go back through all of the questions here, and I actually have a link for everybody that I can provide for the ginger foot bath, because that seems to be kind of a popular trend. So coffee enemas are excellent. I love those for detoxing the liver. One of the benefits with coffee enemas for PCOSers or folks with sclerotic livers, there's liver fatty tissue. One of the big things that is really important is that by doing a coffee enema, it actually enhances your glutathione production, which is phenomenal, because glutathione, it's your body's own natural process. It's like, I think it's 6,000 times the normal kind of production. Glutathione is what allows your body, your liver, to repair itself. So this is a fun fact for you guys. You can take 90% of your liver away. That 10% of your liver will regrow itself and make a whole new liver. Same thing with the spleen. So you can have one singular spleen tissue and regrow your spleen. It's pretty amazing. Okay, so I saw a ton of questions about lymphedema and some of the work that I do with lymphatics and breast tissue and scar tissue. So I want to answer the scar tissue question because I know you asked me pretty much from the beginning. So I apologize my delay. There are two kind of key components to reducing scar tissue that for a lot of women, like that have breast explant surgery or mastectomies, partial mastectomies, there's a scar that literally kind of starts here and runs down here. And for a lot of my patients, their mobility, they can't even get the arm up, so I can do lymphatic work. So one of the things that is really impactful is just kind of doing gentle stretching. But more importantly, more than physical therapy and the kind of like elongating your muscles and your stretching your tissue, is to employ scar tissue removal protocols. And proteolytic enzymes are the go-to to break up scar tissue. And this breaks up scar tissue adhesions all over your body. It is not uncommon for me to be working with folks who have scar tissue and adhesion buildup from years ago, like decades, from early childhood, from surgical scars, cesarean scars, totally common, and that's really helpful. So I hope you'll check out proteolytic enzymes. I have a brand that is actually the most potent form of proteolytic enzyme. Serapeptase is the one that's the go-to. It's a metabolic enzyme. It digests this really really intense. Yes, Violet, I totally do. I recommend serapeptase as the enzyme that's going to break down scar tissue globally. And I actually employ that, right, kind of post-surgically. So because this is my theory, it hasn't, as far as I know, been proven, but I believe that there are some folks that are, and this we do know, people are called super scars. I think the super scarring is something that's an autoimmunity, to be honest with you. It's a faster development of scar tissue, and I think that's a big challenge for people. And so I saw the question, how do you take the proteolytic enzymes? The most effective way for them to work is to take them on an empty stomach. If you take them with food, they're going to break down protein. So proteolytic enzymes, they are protein oriented. There's different types of proteins, but protein is the thickest bond in all of our kind of food bonds. So we need really strong stuff. It's like concrete. Let's see. Okay, so Maryland with the mutation, what do you recommend to promote stomach acid? HCl generally is something that I recommend for stomach acid levels, is really key. And then also, depending if you're having trouble, if you're digesting a lot of animal-based proteins, I would do a little bit, depending on how your stomach lining is, if it's intact and okay and can handle this, a little shot of apple cider vinegar is good for enhancing your acid levels to get your stomach going. The worst thing you could do is take an antacid. That just completely slows down the breakdown of food, and then we just have a whole leaky gut situation from those things. Okay, so I have some more questions. So how do you address low cortisol? That was a question I saw, and I actually am going to be going live on Instagram at 3 today. So I'm doing all sorts of awesome stuff in the studio today. I'm going to be doing, yes, keloid scars. That's full on autoimmunity. So I am going to be going live on Instagram at 3. I'm going to be talking about cortisol. I'm actually going to do kind of a new experiment. We're going to live chat with people. So thanks, Monica. So if you guys want to continue on, I'll be digging in specifically to about cortisol, but low cortisol. So depends on, I guess the question is, if you're still watching, whoever asked that question, is it low cortisol throughout the day, or is there a certain time of the day where we're low? So the question there is, with cortisol, we measure, or I measure through this test kit here. I measure saliva, and so actually, I'll show you the vials. We measure the saliva. So it's this little vial, and you fill it up about halfway with your spit. This is a morning vial, and then we do 3 other vials. You see those? So these saliva vials we measure first thing in the morning, lunch, dinner, and then right before bed, and that gives us kind of a global perspective. So for instance, I had a few tests that came back this morning in my email queue, and one of the test kits was really low in the morning. So low cortisol in the morning, high at lunch, low at dinner, high at night. So it was like do, like a ping pong game. So one of the things that I'm located in Atlanta, so Northwest Atlanta. Okay, so one of the things that happens if you're low and then you're going high, like we want to get a big picture. So that's why I was kind of asking, like, do you have high cortisol, or are you having low cortisol throughout the whole day? Because that's adrenal insufficiency, adrenal fatigue. And so Pamela, I'm seeing 3 a.m. and 3 p.m. are the worst for you. So you might be kind of doing the up and down. Cortisol is tricky. And I think I did a video earlier this week about the intricacies of this, because you can have high and low points throughout the day. So Shally, I actually sell these test kits. So I can include links to buy these. And as far as I know, the mail carrier has not arrived, so I can get these still out. So the cortisol, if you're too low kind of globally, oh, that's good, Jay Sanchez. So the cortisol, if you're too low or too high, that's going to skew a whole bunch of stuff. When we're low all the time, and I've had that history. I had the Epstein-Barr mono hit when in my early 20s, and I was like a flat line on adrenals. I took a major immuno hit, and it took about 8 years to kind of boost my system back to some normalcy. And even now, like I get fatigued and run down if I'm burnt out. But sure, I can do that, Kajin. The aspect of low cortisol is going to tell me that you're in that kind of beginning of the burnout phase. So when we're high, it's like a revved engine, but when it stops revving, it's puttering. And so low cortisol's the aftermath of high, or the ping pong kind of effect. Does that make sense to you guys? So how do we deal with that? Is we deal with the two parts of your adrenal glands. Your adrenal glands are these little tortilla-shaped triangles. I actually have an email series where we got really cool graphics, and it looks like you have the kidneys, and it looks like the wig on the kidneys or the hat on the kidneys. So the flat line is the aftermath of stressful state, stressful condition, stressors. So Pamela, for instance, the explant or the breast implants being how you're dealing with them right now. That one situation is enough physiological stress to burn out your adrenals. Same thing with autoimmunity. Autoimmunity, single or multiple different degrees of autoimmunity, creates a situation where it's a systemic environmental stressor, physiological stressor inside the body. Then we have environmental, we have chemical stressors, we have all sorts of stressors. Had a blood cortisol in the morning, it was low. Okay, so blood is not accurate. Yes, you are absolutely right. So the best and most accurate version of taking and testing your adrenals is by saliva. So saliva is instant. It's this whole reactivity because we have, different things kind of going on, stressors. Like you get on the highway, like here in Atlanta, I literally feel like I have like raging cortisol when I get on the highway to go to my clinic. And there's no way to avoid it. It's always busy. It doesn't matter if I leave at 8:30 or 10 a.m. It's always traffic, and people are cutting people off. And then, for instance, you have a lupus flare. Well, all those situations lead to adrenal kind of, Well, when we have the high adrenal or high function, we have a spike in cortisol. Spikes of cortisol spike insulin. So my PCOSers who are watching, what's really crucial, you want to test your cortisol, because cortisol is the reason why you're having insulin spikes. It's not always food. And so these doctors and clinicians who say, oh, well, you need to go on a low fat, low sugar diet, they're not even skimming the surface when it comes down to insulin being the driver behind PCOS and metabolic syndrome. Yes, adrenals, Monica, for sure. And more than likely too, balancing your adrenals, you might get a period back. So totally common. So cortisol becomes an underlying issue and angst in a lot of systemic issues. It becomes an angst in gut problems, hormone problems, thyroid problems. There's all these connections and interwovenness, if that's a word, with cortisol. And so why I harp on it and I talk to you guys about it, why I'm doing this series about cortisol, is so much of our healing, your healing, my healing, everybody's healing, rests on balancing cortisol levels. And so the most important thing is to test, to actually analyze, because the challenge here, if you watched the video earlier this week, cortisol levels can vary and the symptoms can be the same if you're high or you're low. that gets really kind of crazy, because you might think, oh my gosh, I'm burning out, and you're not. You're like raging. your adrenal glands and the output of cortisol is raging, and it can cause high blood pressure. Low cortisol causes, for a lot of people, dizziness. So if you stand up and all of a sudden, like, woo, you kind of see like little spots, or you even get like a little headache. That was what was happening to me in my 20s. And I was literally falling asleep at my desk, and it was bad. And I was in total denial of my state. But so low cortisol, how I address that, glandulars, we have to support the adrenals. We send them on a little vacation. So I use an assortment of adrenal focused glandulars, and that might address not only the adrenal glands, but the pituitary glands and the axis of glandular connectivity to support your body. And then we supercharge them with nutrients and supplementation. Adaptogenic herbs. You guys have probably seen a lot of my videos. I've talked about rhodiola. I love that stuff. Okay, so here was another question. I saw something about how to boost immunity. So I actually brought something to share with you guys. So this is astragalus. I don't know if you guys can see this. I don't know if it's backwards too, but astragalus is an awesome herb. It is a super immune support, a super immune booster. And we're in the season where stuff's going around. It's cold out. We are definitely noticing there's a lot of bronchial stuff. There's viral coughing and all that stuff. So astragalus is great, as are herbs like elderberry. Huge fan of elderberry. You'll find it in some, sambucus. There's a lot of homeopathic combos with elderberry, and I love that. But I really, astragalus is a good, deep cellular immune booster. I saw a question about what do you do if you can no longer take antibiotics, either you can't stomach them. So to answer that question, I like to use, Miriam, so good. I like to use colloidal silver. Colloidal silver is nature's antibiotic. And if you can stomach them, and Shelly, I totally have an answer for you there. If you can stomach it, I would even recommend oil of oregano, and you can utilize it internally, just be kind of cognizant of how intense it is. And then you could do it topically on the ear and on the pads of your feet. Oil of oregano is very good for boosting the immune system. And it can function to minimize infections. Depends on the need. I guess the big question is, what are you taking antibiotics for? And if it's gut related, you definitely want to get yourself on high multi-strain probiotics. That's going to be helpful. Okay, so I saw a question, about nerve pain related to breast pain. And this is just pain specific. CBD oil is hugely beneficial. We've done so many photo shoots and video stuff that I still have stuff I haven't fully unpacked. But CBD pain patches are my go-to. 96-hour release. I'll give you guys a link when this is all done, but that's huge. And I think it is really, really impactful. So huge fan of CBD. And I'm actually testing out, you guys get to kind of see before I actually launch this. So I think tomorrow's video is coming out, is going to launch a new product, but there's another brand that's out there that has bath bombs, which is kind of exciting. So they have so many different delivery methods and mechanisms now with CBD that transdermal application and delivery is proving to be really impactful. Sorry, Brian's trying to call in. I don't think he knows I'm live. So anyway, apologize for that interruption, but there's a lot of different delivery methods and mechanisms to incorporate CBD into your body. So I am loving that. I love that post-surgically. I love it for my lymphedema patients, my lymphedema patients that have pain on their skin. And if you guys are interested, I have a brand that I love. I take it. I recommend it to all my patients. And you guys might have seen me mention it here. But it is Octagon Biolabs. That's the CBD. It's a full spectrum organic. That's huge. Organic. So it's super clean. Aerial parts. So the highest parts of the plant before the actual marijuana bud. But the aerial parts are the most impactful. Oh, can you guys hear me? Hello? Just let me know if you guys can hear me. So one of the things, I'll give you guys a coupon code if you want to check that out. It's Melissa CBD that I love. And so that, okay, good. Thank you. Somebody couldn't hear me. Kind of freaking out. So I have this whole new mic that I've got because I'm going to start doing interviews. So if you guys want to see collaborations, I'm going to start doing that. And so I have this new plug-in. So I'm glad you can hear. But yeah, so I got a little sidetracked there. But pain, CBD is beneficial for pain. It's beneficial for hormone balancing. It's great for everything. And tomorrow I'm going to show you one that is a roll-on that is excellent because this is another reason I love it. It has arnica in it. And so it will reduce swelling and all sorts of goodness. So that, huge fan of. Okay, let me see. Yes, certified. It's so good. You're totally right, Pamela. Okay, so Violet, it's I don't know. Do I have it over here? I feel like I don't. It's Octagon. OCTOGON. I think that's it. BIOLABS. Octagon Biolabs, or OCTAGON Biolabs. And yeah, the patch is awesome. So the coupon code is 20% off, and they just launched a 1,500 milligram dose bottle, which is awesome stuff. And I've seen everybody kind of move up. So they went from like 500,000, and now everybody's taking 1,500 because it's so powerful. Melissa CBD, it'll get you 20% off at checkout. So they're great. Thanks, Pamela. All right, Donna. Hi, Donna. Can you speak on the lack of an immune system? Okay, so, that was kind of my component or my issue when I was in my 20s was my immune system was wrecked. And I had actually traveled internationally, and I think that played a big role in terms of the state of my immune system. And just being completely run down. So immuno-wise, I love Cell Forte. Have you guys ever heard of Cell Forte? Shoot me a little message, thumb up or whatever. Yes, I could, Pamela. I could do it, definitely. I don't know how to do that. It might be on Facebook, but we should totally offline. And so, let's see, lunch break over. Okay, bye, Irma. So one of the, I can't remember. Oh, so immune system. Okay, so your immune system, one of the good deep ways of invigorating your immune system is to use Cell Forte. And so that can be something that can really boost it up, boost our B cells, and just really invigorates immunity if you feel like your immune system is shot. Now there's a caveat. So we haven't done this yet. He's like very elusive. But Brian is going to be on camera at some point. We're dealing with some crazy autoimmunity with him right now. Something that it's a rare autoimmunity, and he does not fit any of the normal protocols. He's a unique, bizarre case in this small little autoimmunity world. And so a lot of my immuno-boosting things for him, I have to treat him like I would some of my lupus patients, where we don't necessarily want to invigorate the whole entire immune system if the immuno attack is going to be enhanced by immunity. So sorry, guys. Sorry, guys. That was somebody calling through. So autoimmunity, you want to be cognizant of how much immune boosting, because immune boosting can also boost the autoimmunity. So that's a caveat I have to have there, and it varies depending on which autoimmunity you're dealing with. So, but like astragalus I had mentioned before, this is a very good immune booster. Forte, elderberry, those are all very good globally, will support you. And then colloidal silver is fantastic for just supporting your cells and keeping them healthy and strong and free of cellular damage or invasion. So that's huge. Okay. Yes, I did. I talked about seroteptase doing life with us. I didn't talk about it with scar like C-sections, but just globally, just to recap, serapeptase is proteolytic enzyme you can actually use to break up the incision scar tissue. But the other thing that you want to do, especially with, and I'll demonstrate, with cesarean scars or any like heloiding scars, you just want to kind of grab that scar and kind of do like a little pinching and twisting. So you kind of go, kind of do pinching and twisting. So that's huge. Yeah, Pamela, Brian's a rare bird when it comes to this. We're actually probably going to do a consult up in Boston with the leading expert because the Yahoos here in Atlanta have no clue what they're doing. So anyway, that's a total assessment from me. I apologize. Okay, so let's see. I had a question specifically about gingerfoot bath link. Yes, I will provide a link up above. I can't do anything while I'm chatting, but when it's done and processing, it'll be up and running. I feel like some questions came through about lymphedema and compression therapy. And so I actually see folks in my clinic. Okay, good. Tracy, thank you. All right. Would you suggest the supplements, lymph stem, et cetera, you mentioned for lymphedema that have estrogen positive chemotherapy? Yes. Okay. So I definitely would recommend lymph stem for sure. There is nothing hormone invigorating about lymph stem. So definitely I would do that, depending on if you're having like a lot of localized swelling or swelling in. Oh, thanks, Pamela. You're so sweet. You guys are the best. So I need to like duplicate you guys and have you here in our clinic. So lymph stem is helpful, and if you're having like localized swelling or you're kind of getting some lymph node involvement up here, or if depending on your surgery, if you're getting like a pocket of fluid right here, which is very common, I would do this until we kind of get the swelling to go down. I would do 40 drops 5 times a day. So this is a little bit beyond what I usually say on videos, but I do 40 drops 5 times a day. Okay, yeah. So how many lymph nodes were removed, Tracy? The lymph nodes, when they remove our lymph nodes, it's basically like taking a highway exit and just detouring it. So literally, if you were in 18, oh, that's a lot. Okay, so just think about your hometowns and your highway systems. If they took out 18 exits out of your highway system, what would happen to all that traffic? That's your lymphatic system. So that's how I can kind of best describe the structure of your lymphatic system. It's like a web. So it's this all interwoven web. It's all over our body. There's 2 layers. There's superficial. So we have more like under our skin and under our, just under the dermal layers. Then we have these larger channels that are deeper, and the larger channels actually sit below bone matter and organ matter. And one of the therapies I've been trained on is to actually invigorate the lymphatics deeper, and that clears the system. So what I would say twofold, if you aren't compressing your arm, you need to get compression garments. I think I have something here. Let's see. Hold on. I can show you. Hold on. I have to go over here. Let's see. Okay. Sorry. I have all my stuff here. Okay. So this would be, if you are not doing this, Tracy, or anybody who's have lymph nodes removed, particularly in the arm, you would want to get a compression garment like this. And this would be something that would go up to here. So it's an arm sleeve, and there's even one that's going on. Okay, good. So you are compressing. Are you pumping? You might qualify. This is a tricky sort. You might qualify for lymph pumps. If you don't have them, call up your insurance provider. You obviously have gotten compression, so there's a good chance that possibly the physical therapy center at the cancer facility that you're working with would be helpful. Yeah, Pamela, I don't know if that's even a possibility. And I'm starting to work closer with one of my compression vendors. I'm actually going to be speaking and educating pharmacists and some of the boutique mastectomy boutique owners and fitters. So yeah, so I don't know if there's any organic yet, but if there is, I will definitely keep you guys posted. It's a lot harder to get. Thanks, Donna. Compression gear and insurance is really a challenge. So if you have a really savvy physical therapist at the cancer center, you often can have them order you these compression pumps. And compression pumps are crucial for anybody with any type of lymphatic disorder, including those with leg vascular insufficiency that's then causing lymphedema. Pumps are essential, and the pumps, they're not cheap. They're like $15,000, $18,000, $20,000, $22,000. And when you do when you get them or get qualified to get them, there's actually a rep that will come to your house and calibrate the pump to you and your body and will train you on how to use it. And you can pump every day. It's the most amazing thing you do on top of all the other things that I've provided in a lot of exercises. So 18 lymph nodes is a lot to have removed, and I've even worked with more, like 30, 40, 50 that have gotten removed. So it's not uncommon. It is something that can be overcome. What you're going to find, Tracy, and any of you out there who might be dealing with a similar kind of situation where we've got lymph nodes removed under axillary, so right under here on the armpit and the whole entire breast cavity, or anywhere of the body, particularly like lower inguinals, you're going to be rerouting. So there's this whole process where you're going to be moving and flushing to the back. And so can't get massaged because no therapist. Yeah. So Pamela, that's one of the challenges. And in fact, in Florida, I'm still here. I'm a private pay provider because insurance is such a nightmare, and they don't make it easy for not only patients but providers to provide the care. And I think until there's some legislative changes, I don't know if that's going to change. Okay, so as for like the lymphatics, you're going to be wanting to move to the back. There's an anastomosis point, an alternate drain. And I've actually found that when you reroute, you can redirect you can redirect your lymphatics to the back. And so I'm so sorry, Donna. So that is something that there's a video that I have. So I'm going to encourage you to watch that. It's an alternate routing process, particularly when there are lymph nodes here that were impacted. Okay, let's see here. Rhonda, I wish I lived near you because I have a lot of chronic health problems with systemic yeast I can't get rid of. So yeast, candida, and yeast and bacterial imbalances, if you aren't on a solid probiotic, meaning a multi-strain probiotic, start that. Start your antimicrobials, definitely oil of oregano. I would be doing colloidal silver as well. And I would be incorporating as much like goat kefir plus, and do like a smoothie of goat kefir and kale and spinach. This is pretty amazing. I'm gonna take a little drink. What's pretty amazing is that we've actually identified that if you do and I think maybe Dr. Oz has this on his website. Sure, Tracy, totally happy to help. If you do a combo of like goat kefir and spinach and kale, new probiotics will show up like that we can't even buy on the counter. So it's pretty amazing. So there are a lot of different ways to resolve systemic yeast, but the key is healing leaky gut. And Ryan keeps calling. I swear, sometimes I tell him my schedule and I don't think he listens all the time. Okay, so those, I hope that answered everybody's question and questions. Are there any other questions out there that I either missed or didn't see? I know we're going on about 80 minutes, so this is a whole lot longer and super interactive, to which I am grateful. And all of you watching, I don't know if I haven't really made this announcement fully, but I'm now, you can become a part of my channel. You can become a channel member. And we actually have, go ahead, Lisa. We have channel membership. So it's a $4.99 monthly membership program. And you have access to exclusive benefits and exclusive items that, like, behind the scenes, and a whole bunch of access that is exclusive for my members. So if you haven't checked it out, please do. You actually, this is what's kind of annoying about it. You actually have to get into Google Chrome so if you go into Google Chrome and open up YouTube and you go to my main page, it'll have like subscribe. If you click on the join or join me, that's how you can get in. Okay, so eczema, I saw a question about eczema specifically. Eczema, I saw a question about eczema specifically, and eczema is gut related. So eczema is something that we need to look at healing the gut. It's usually indicative of some gut autoimmunity, leaky gut, and the best way to heal that up is to, again, go get all the probiotics. And with probiotics, you want to be switching every month. You want multi-strains, 30. You want 25. Oh, thanks, Brian. So you want multi different types of strains to fortify that gut. Topically, eczema, I love to incorporate colloidal silver and calendula cream. So those are two things you do, like a little colloidal silver, like on that area, or if it's up here. Anything you recommend for burning skin for healing eczema? So the calendula cream is really great, and that is highly beneficial. Calendula is a derivative of marigold, and it's calming. So we use it for minor burns. We use it for redness and irritation. So two things. The best probiotic, there's a ton of different brands. And I'll link, if you guys want me to, just say yes. I can link some of the brands that I recommend. I do sell them. They are going to be links to my store if you guys want. Oh, Raina, thank you so much. I'm glad it's helping. So I'll link those, but like BioCult is one. Garden of Life, they have a raw powder that I love. I love Claire Labs is another one, but multi-strains is going to be crucial. And then the other thing, digestively, instead of a laxative, I love utilizing, oh, Brian, that's a good one. I love utilizing dandelion tea. So dandelion tea will get the bile production enhanced. It'll get it moving. Yes, I sell all of those. So I have a 2 warehouses that we ship out of. Yeah, I actually offer 10% off in everything in the store. So it's all online, all high grade, professional grade quality products, and all of the stuff that we sell in our store. It's, let's see, right off the shipping line. So I've actually had people comment about this, like the expiration date on it is sometimes like a year or two ahead of what you might find on the shelves at a store, which is kind of scary. So it's super clean. All the products are high quality, but they're also new. And any of the probiotics that need to be chilled, and even like we have vaginal yeast suppositories, those come frozen to you. So it's delivered in all the right processing to make sure that you're getting the quality. Because we don't always find that with Amazon vendors. Oh, Angela. Okay. So yeah, so low cortisol. I was recommending glandulars. It's really the question I had for you, Angela, is when is it low? And if you haven't tested throughout the day, that would be my first recommendation, to actually do a cortisol level test. And then depending on where those levels are, then employ glandulars and some of the adaptogenic herbs. But it's one of those things, like you have to know the numbers to really get into it. I saw something about muscle cramps, coconut water, and more magnesium, powdered magnesium, ionic minerals will help that. Bulletproof coffee. Yeah. So, well, bulletproof coffee tends to go with the whole fasting And I did a whole video about why I'm not a fan of fasting, and the fasting lovers did not like that video. But I personally, in college, I grew up on pretty hardcore Cuban espresso. Coming from St. Pete, Tampa, we have some of the best Cuban coffee ever. But I don't consume it all the time. Coffee, I think in that, the Bulletproof Coffee, the idea is that it's not considered on the whole dietary plan to be breaking the fast or whatever. But coffee generally, this is my take on it. And, from somebody who loves espresso, I generally find coffee to be highly caustic to our bodies, our digestive systems, and our central nervous system. And if there is any adrenal imbalance, coffee can exacerbate it. Where like green tea, if you need caffeine, green tea is a better alternative because it doesn't impact our central nervous system. Okay, so any other questions, you guys? This is so fun. I am just so grateful. You guys, the whole YouTube kind of communication tool for me has been new, really in the last year or so. It's been maybe 12, 13 months now that I've been doing this. So I'm so grateful to bring you guys content that I know many of you are commenting and do comment that it helps. So it's really exciting. It's such a different delivery method and mechanism. And with our move to Atlanta, it's just been really great to help. If you don't have a gallbladder, what do you recommend as a supplement? Okay, ox bile. I'll include that. So I'm going to make a note of you guys are so great. I'm going to make a note of some items I'm going to include in the links when this is all processed. I'm going to include the link for ox bile. I'm going to include these links, and I have some coupon codes. So if you guys are interested in doing any of my testing, these are all mailable. I'll include, I think it's a 10% off coupon code. So I'll include ox bile, probiotics, immune boosters. Does that sound good, you guys? Some of the lymph connections. You guys need links to compression therapy or any of that stuff. And I guess I have a question for all my lymph folks. Do you think it'd be helpful if I did a DIY tutorial on how to employ kinesio tape to help move your lymph? Because that's something that I know I haven't seen any video content related to that, and I use it and employ it in my practice with my patients, even when they are using or wearing compression, and even those who might not have access or be able to afford it, like the little kinesio tapes, pretty inexpensive. Okay, so I appreciate that feedback. You guys really shape my content, so I am always grateful for your input, because sometimes when I put out those quizzes, like I have in my head, like, oh, they're gonna really like this, and then you guys vote, and I love it. So I am grateful because I want to help you guys first and foremost. Okay, so there was one other question, and I'm going to do kind of a last call for questions. I actually do book on, so doing life with us, you still do online appointments if you're out of town. Yes, I do virtual Skype appointments all the time. And we're getting a little crazy busy coming up here in December, but I do Skype and video, phone chats. So same kind of hours as, what I hold in the clinic. I just kind of sculpt my schedule based around them. But I'll include a link for that too. Okay, so schedule link. And I know one of you fabulous viewers posted about the gingerfoot bath, but I'll link the video so you guys can watch that if you haven't seen that yet. And then also there was a question about high cholesterol. Am I correct? And kind of how to manage that, like with plant sterols. And thanks, Shelly. So what I recommend with high cholesterol is detoxing the liver. So that's key. Enhancing the fiber intake. So this is kind of, okay, so this is a uniqueness with cholesterol. When we test blood serum, no, Lisa, I don't accept insurance. I'm just private pay right now. Particularly because I'm working with folks all over the states and the world. So cholesterol is something you need to know that when we test your blood, it's really hard to identify what the true cholesterol is that is either going to a site or to distinguish that cholesterol that's coming from a site. So let me put this in this way. The body needs cholesterol because there's vascular damage. So the body uses cholesterol. There's HDL and LDL. LDL is a restorative Band-Aid. So cholesterol is like a Band-Aid. LDL is a Band-Aid, and LDL levels will indicate vascular damage or hot spots that have arisen from free radical damage or accelerated aging or whatever it is. But there's free radical damage, single cells that have hit our vascular wall that now have burnt the wall, and the body calls up cholesterol from the liver. So the liver sends LDL to the site. So it's sending it through the blood, and then it patches, and it's like a Band-Aid. It's like second skin, really. It goes up on the wall and it stays there until it's done healing, and then HDL comes and removes it. So when we look at your LDL and HDL, why we say HDL we need more of, we need more things to remove the LDL that might be stuck on the wall. So sometimes there's LDL moving with HDL away and moving out of the body, and then there's LDL sometimes going to the site to heal and HDL going to remove it. So that gets really kind of tricky to analyze, like what's being used currently and what's going to work and what's leaving work, if you will. So one of the things that I say is the best way to kind of clear up cholesterol it's not always dietary related, to be honest with you. It's all about digestive process. Bowel movements. You want to move your bowels. You want digestive movement. You want your liver to be producing bile. So dandelion is great. Dandelion tea. I talk about the roasted dandelion root. So a little tongue twisting there. Roasted dandelion root, that tea that I love, it's 1,500 milligrams of tea bag, that actually processes out and moves and flushes cholesterol. Cholesterol leaves the body through the bowels, and so that's huge. And one of the things that I think is really important is if you move your bowels, you're gonna instantly see, without any other changes, you're gonna instantly see lab results change, and we get a better kind of idea. So I think that that's hugely helpful. So just know HDL we can enhance by enhancing our insoluble fiber like oatmeal and other types of like inulin or chicory root. So there are ways to get the bowels moving. Magnesium's key. Slippery elm is a really good herb to move that process. And when we do move our bowels, we're going to have lower cholesterol. And that, out of anything that you can do, plant sterols, red yeast rice and all of that, that's going to have the most impact. And then you add in those other items like red yeast rice, you're going to see more dips. And it's pretty amazing that we can really remove the need for a statin. And when we take statins, it actually burns up our CoQ10 levels. CoQ10 is a core essential coenzyme we need in the body. So, all right, Violet, I love it. Yes, gut health, gut healing is crucial. So without any other questions, I'm just going to thank you guys all for participating. This has been so fun, and so I'll post about my next one. But if you guys really enjoyed this, I would encourage you to join my community and become a channel member. We're preparing some really awesome features for channel members in December, and I'm working with some really great vendors and companies and putting out some special content for my members. So it's a little bit of an exclusive community. That I think YouTube, I don't really know the logistics behind it with YouTube, but so I'd love for you guys to be a part of that too. And I'll be delivering all the same content here in the normal format, but it's just kind of an escalated version for our members. And like today, the questions from our members I answer first and make sure we get to them to prioritize their questions and focus on their healing as well. But I just want to thank you guys. So stay tuned. Tomorrow I'll have a video out. I'm going to be talking a lot more about pain and pain management using CBD, featuring a new product. So thanks, guys. I'll see you later. Mwah. Thank you.